As many of you know, my wife and I have a fondness for birds. There are a couple exceptions. One is downy woodpeckers about 6 a.m. in the morning pounding on the siding. The other exception is crows. I'm not too fond of crows, Shelley's not too fond of crows, and there was a year in our lives when for some reason the crows came into our neighborhood, and not just a crow. Lots of crows. And they called them murders when they gather in their large groups. And they scared away all the little songbirds. They descended upon our neighborhood like some choir robed in black, determined to sing off-key at any time of the day. I learned many strategies of being unwelcoming to crows. I'll confess every one of those strategies failed. We don't know why they left our neighborhood eventually, but it wasn't one of my strategies. One of the strategies I heard about, I didn't try, and I'm kind of glad now that I didn't. I read about it this last week, and the strategy is very simple. You find a fake crow, or you make a fake crow, or you find a dead crow, and you carry it out into the middle of your yard. And supposedly you put it belly up, so it's clear it's dead or symbolizing death, and the crows don't come around. The caveat in what I was reading in this bird book is this: do not let the crows see you carry the dead crow out. Because crows are smart and have good memories, and supposedly they even pass on the word to the next generation that they know you and you're no good. And the crows have been known to harass certain people because of that. That's scary stuff. You could make a Hollywood movie about that. Crows are quite... I had heard before, read before, reasons why people don't invite other people to their church. Co-workers, friends. And those reasons had always been along the lines of, well, I'm concerned they won't feel welcome. Or there is this one person. Or, most common, I'm concerned that the Sunday they do come is going to be one of those dud Sundays, and the sermon's going to be terrible, or something like that, and they'll go home and wondering, my friend, well, why in the world I go to that church? Well, now times have changed. We live in a non-church society, and so as I was reading reasons people, what is this? In a non-church society, people were saying, I don't tend to invite my coworker or my neighbor or friend because if they know I'm a Christian, they'll expect me to act like a Christian during the week. And sometimes I don't do so good at that. And to me, that was such a sad statement for a couple of reasons. One is the whole Christian faith. The whole thing is premised on the idea that we are far less than perfect, and we needed a fellow named Jesus to come into our lives and help us to be the people we would want to be, but can't be on our own willpower and under our own steam. We need somebody to help us along this. The second sadness is that it is often precisely through our weaknesses that God can begin to use us, through our humility. One Christian author put it this way: if you realize the poverty of your spirit, if you realize that it's known, and that the emptiness is known, and the quiet aches of your soul are known by God, then you may be prepared to speak a word of truth to another. And ideally, the church would be that place where we drop our masks. That place where we can be our most human, not where we can act out our worst stuff, but where we can admit that there are times we fall short of the glory of God. We need places to be known. We need those places so that we can be loved into new life. For over 30 years now, I have puzzled over today's gospel lesson. Nathanael. What was it he was doing under that tree? I mean, we have this conversation with Philip, and Nathanael says to Philip, well, can anything good come out of Nazareth, and all that sort of thing. And Philip says, well, I have to come and see. And so Nathanael goes to see, and as he's coming toward Jesus, Jesus says, Nathanael, here is an Israelite in whom there's no deceit, no guile. And Nathanael says, how is it you know who I am? You don't really know me. And Jesus says, I saw you under the fig tree. What does that mean? What went on under the fig tree? What did Jesus see? It's troubled me for a lot of years, and I come to this point in my life, and suddenly I guess I'm getting old enough, I realize, that really doesn't matter. If I knew, I'd maybe be focused on what it was Nathanael was doing. The truth is God and Jesus do know us. They know the blessings we give others. They know the times we fail to give blessings. Sometimes we do need who we are to be redeemed. But that only begins when we stop fighting from it. So why not let God use the truth to set us free? God knows us, and that is a blessing. Jesus knew Nathanael. And the wonderful thing about it is, Jesus, no doubt, knowing Nathanael, could have thought about all those things. Nathanael wasn't the perfect person. But Jesus points out the thing that apparently led him to believe Nathanael was truthful and honest and good. Jesus wants to point out the good things in us, to lift up the good things, to reinforce the good things, so that we can grow into God's likeness. Donna Nix this last week. And Donna has gone through things, losing a husband, losing a sister, the things that happen with life, the losses in life. But she is doing something that I thought was so cool. I'm going to share it with you because you may have interest in it yourself. We have a program over at Eventide called Solace. And Solace is simply a chance for people to go and sit with, be with, talk with. Sometimes it's not talking with because some of the people aren't able to talk. To be with someone who really doesn't have family in the area and who tends to spend their days completely alone in Eden. Donna decided, well, this is something I can do. That is so wonderful because the premise of Solace is for people to know that someone cares about them, that they are known, that they aren't forgotten, that they haven't been left behind, that they are not alone. There is power in being known. What Diana was sharing this morning, that interchange, that verbal interchange of, may I pray a prayer of blessing for you, and suddenly, word spreads. And a second person at the same place is asking, and another person at that same place is asking, because people want to know that there are people who care, that there are people who aren't going to try to convert them or give them advice, who are simply going to know their hurt or their longing and simply hold them in prayer, simply care. That becomes in and of itself a blessing. Grace United Methodist Church became known as, that's the church that offers prayers of blessing. No judgment, no advice, not trying to convert, just telling you God cares. They prayed for. What if word spread and one generation told the next, neighbor told neighbor, and we got a reputation, and people came not like crows to harass us, but like people who are no longer afraid to let themselves be known, or one part themselves, because they heard prayer makes a difference, and God still cares. We could build a church on that. I think Jesus built a church on that. Grace Church, a place to be known and to be set